In Los Angeles, a big city will always struggle with the homeless population. There's about 75,000 living homeless, making it the second largest homeless population in the U.S. They're in L.A. People that experience homelessness, they are vulnerable during wildfire events.
Last week, when the Sunset Fire broke out, 4 homeless shelters provided by the Path charity organization needed to be evacuated. And evacuation shelters have since been filling up fast with evacuees, making it increasingly difficult to reshelter those living in the threatened homeless shelters.
It's one thing for those who are homeless to make the decision to go to a shelter, but then when that shelter, you have to flee that shelter. It can be challenging. This morning, we're joined by CEO of Path, Jennifer Hart-Dietz. Jennifer, good morning to you. That process just last week, we'll go through this kind of chronologically. What was that like? 300 individuals, they were at these shelters that were at risk of evacuating. Was it a smooth process?
You know, I'm grateful to be here today to share this because our team really leapt into action. But of course, no evacuation, I would say, is smooth because there's fear involved, right? And between those 4 sites, we were distributing, goods and helping people get to, a variety of sites throughout the city. So we had to really talk through where they were going. Were they going to be able to take their belongings? If they had a disability, did we have the appropriate site? So it took a few hours to get everyone into the right location, but we're grateful that we were able to do that with the support of our team. And we're still on watch. So it's kind of continuing to evolve.
Now, with these shelters, what are some of the challenges that you're facing now to this date? Because I have to imagine some of those shelters that were at risk or maybe have burned down, you have people who have gone to more shelters. The population of that has now grown. So how has that been managed?
So, the people that we serve have already lost everything. So the idea of losing the small amount they've accumulated again is really, really terrifying for them. And, we do have sites that we're really watching closely. So we have go bags for our participants. The air quality is bad, just like for our housed neighbors. And we're really concerned about the long-term impact. So it's already really hard to find affordable rental homes in Los Angeles. And now with so many displaced from these fires, we're concerned that rent's going to go up and it's going to make it even more difficult for our most vulnerable throughout the community to find a permanent home.
We have heard in these press conferences, Jennifer, I'm sure you've been paying attention to them too, the DA talking about price gouging and how that's been a thing. I mean, even seeing not just hotel rates, but elsewhere, trying just to find a temporary housing can be difficult. From my understanding, shelters you guys have throughout the state of California, was it the Sunset Fire specifically that led to the evacuations of these shelters? And could you answer, was there any damage that was done to these buildings, or are you guys now able to maybe slowly return back to them?
Yeah, so the Sunset Fire for us did lead to the evacuation of the 4 sites. We were closely monitoring 2 locations that are just outside the perimeter of the Palisades Fire and another location outside of the Eaton Fire. But the Sunset Fire came up really quickly, right up against the Hollywood Hills there, the one that we were most concerned about that had about 170 individuals. That site, there was no structural damage, thankfully, a lot of ash and, debris, but we were able to clean that out and get folks back so that they could really settle and handle the trauma of having to evacuate quickly. And the flames that you're seeing online right now, that's what we saw right behind our site. So, folks were a little bit nervous about going back, but we're so grateful for our first responders and our firefighters. They notified us immediately and they got that out really quickly.
Absolutely. And emotions are still high. This is a traumatic event that is going to stay with people for a very long time. Jennifer, aside from sheltering people, you have volunteers that have been helping distribute essentials. Can you just go through some of those efforts and some of the items that are needed?
Yeah, I mean, the outpouring of support has been incredible. Just yesterday, we were donating and delivering items from our main site there to a variety of locations and people who are living unhoused, who need essential goods, masks we delivered, cleaning supplies for our residents who've been impacted, by the ash and by the weather conditions. We've also been distributing non-perishables and water So just making sure people have what they need, blankets, pillows. Those are continuing to be kind of essential needs across Los Angeles. And we're also partnering, for evacuation centers. So we want to make sure that everything that we receive is really pushed out as quickly as possible. So you can kind of see we created a command center there. And we've every day been going out to different sites and checking on folks and making sure we can provide as much as possible.
We know that there are several ways that people have been able to help relief efforts. Want to give the opportunity too for PATH. Is there a way that financially people, if they wanted to donate, they can at home?
Yeah, thank you so much for that. The easiest way is to go to epath.org/give. And that funding will go directly to help the victims that we serve from the wildfires.
Okay.
So thank you all so much.
A lot of people in need, especially in a big city where a homeless population is great in Los Angeles, and a remarkable work despite the fires that PATH does. Thank you for your time this morning. That's PATH CEO Jennifer Hart-Dietz joining us from Redondo Beach in California. Thanks, Jennifer.
Thanks so much.